I was Jared, the atheist, amidst melting bodies and screaming souls in a sea of fire. Then, an inexplicable touch plunged me from hellish despair into pure, unimaginable euphoria.
That's when it hit me, like a sledgehammer to the gut. This wasn't a nightmare. This wasn't some weird fever dream. This was it. This was the place. Oh my God, I remember thinking, I'm in hell. Me, Jared, the guy who thought all of it was a joke. I'm telling you this now, live, because for 20 years, I barely whispered a word of it. For 2 decades, I kept this locked away, a secret so dark, so terrifying, I thought I'd lose my mind if I even looked at it too long. But something changed. And now, you need to hear this. All of it. Raw, uncut. Because what happened next, what I saw next, it'll shake you to your core. You might be wondering, why now, Jared? Why open up after all this time? Honestly, it's because I've been watching, listening, seeing countless others finally stepping forward with their own unbelievable experiences, and each one, little by little, chipped away at my fear. Because let me tell you, this isn't a story you just casually drop into conversation. For nearly 20 years, I've only shared bits and pieces of this with maybe 4 people. My girlfriend at the time, the first one I ever tried to tell, she just looked at me like I'd lost my mind, didn't believe a word. And who could blame her? Even a couple of close friends from back in the day, from church, they listened, bless their hearts, but you could see the doubt in their eyes. So yeah, this is new for me, putting it all out there. And trust me, this isn't a quick story. If I start from the very beginning, where I was, who I was, it's not going to be a 5-minute clip. It's deep. It's complex. But I'm ready. And you better buckle up. Because this is where it all started to go sideways. 20 years ago, I was a different man entirely. Think of the most arrogant, most dismissive, most know-it-all atheist you can imagine. Yeah, that was me. Age 23, full of myself. I grew up in a house where there was a portrait of Jesus hanging on the wall. Your typical Catholic home, right? But for me, looking at that picture was no different than looking at a statue of Zeus or a poster of Thor. Just another made-up story, another mythology for people who needed something to believe in. My mom, she was strict Catholic, but her version of faith wasn't about love or grace. It was about fear. God was this cosmic eye in the sky, watching every single move I made, judging every thought. Do this or God will punish you. Don't do that or God will be angry. It was suffocating, oppressive. And honestly, it pushed me so far away from anything spiritual, I thought I'd never look back. Communion, CCD, Sunday school? Yeah, I checked all those boxes, went through the motions. Not because I believed, but because it made my mom happy. It was just a performance, a way to keep the peace. None of it ever stuck, zero impact. And even my mom, the devout Catholic, she wasn't praying directly to Jesus. It was always to the Virgin Mary or to saints. And it wasn't even like she was talking to the big guy. Nah, it was always some B-list saint. My mom, her name's Lourdes, so of course it was, Saint Lourdes, please help me find my keys, or Saint Lourdes, please make Jared behave. Like, what? Heaven's a VIP lounge where you just pick your favorite celestial assistant? Total chaos to me. I just rolled my eyes. Then came the holy private school years. Elementary. Every single day. Morning prayer, lunch prayer, leaving prayer. It was like a spiritual checklist. Ding, did my prayer. Am I good now? Is God impressed? I just mumbled along, counting the seconds till recess. It was performance art, not devotion. Just something people did to feel good about themselves, like patting themselves on the back for a job well done. Okay, I shouted at the sky, now let's see what random good thing happens. Fast forward to 15. That's when my world cracked, just a little. My grandma passed, and for the first time I felt something, a flicker. Like, wait, is there more to this? Is there something beyond this? It wasn't belief, not even close, just a whisper of curiosity. A tiny, insignificant whisper quickly drowned out by my own colossal ego. So I hit 23, still the same old Jared, king of the atheists. God, Jesus, higher power? Nah. But deep down, like way down, there was this tiny, unsettling itch. Like, is there something? I didn't know what, couldn't name it. Then I met her, my girlfriend at the time. Total opposite. She was genuinely, deeply Christian. And get this, she never ever preached at me. Never told me I was going to hell, never dragged me to church. She just lived her faith, shared her experience. And she had this whole crew of friends, all from the same youth group. So naturally, I ended up tagging along. And the kicker, this youth group, this ministry, was held in my old elementary school gym. I swear, the universe has a sick sense of humor. And what did I do there? Oh, I was an absolute jerk. Seriously. Every lesson, every sermon, every spiritual insight they had, I would mentally, and sometimes not so mentally, dissect, mock, tear apart. Picture this, me sitting there, smirking, cracking silent jokes, maybe a whispered jab to my girlfriend that made her sigh. And here's the wild part. They were nice, like genuinely good people. No one ever yelled, "You're going to hell, heathen." No one ever tried to convert me with fire and brimstone. They just accepted me, which ironically just fueled my arrogance. Because in my head, I was bulletproof. I'd poke and prod at Jesus, at God, at their precious gospels, and I'd feel great about it. Zero guilt, zero second thoughts. Why? Because it didn't matter. God wasn't real. Nothing could touch me. I could say whatever I wanted, do whatever I wanted. Until one night.
It started like any other night, nothing special, just a regular Tuesday or whatever day it was. My relationship with this girlfriend, it was already on its last legs. 2 years in, and the chasm between us, me, the God is a fairy tale guy, and her, the Jesus saves girl, it was just too wide. Those kinds of relationships, they don't last, or they're a constant battle. Ours was definitely heading for the latter, fast. So yeah, it was pretty much over. That night, I just went through the motions, locked the door, lights off, crawled into bed, closed my eyes, just like every other night. And then I closed my eyes, right? Just trying to fall asleep. And then, boom, it hit me. This feeling. It wasn't sickness. It wasn't just fear. It was this absolute, undeniable knowing that I was about to die. Like every single cell in my body, every nerve ending just screamed, "This is it, Jared. Game over." You ever felt something like that? I hadn't. Never. Not once in my life had I felt that before. And since then, only one other time, and it was directly connected to actual death. But this was the first. And it was inescapable. It wasn't something outside of me. It was inside. You know how it is when you take a drug or you've had too much to drink? It's in your system. You can't stop it. You're gonna have that experience, whether you like it or not. This was that, but for my very existence. Then came the dread. Oh my God, the dread. It was terrible. It started low, a cold, numbing sensation creeping up from my toes, crawling up my feet, up my legs, steadily, relentlessly terrifying me. Seriously, it felt like each part of me, as this feeling enveloped it, was just dying, becoming necrotic, just shutting down right there on the spot. As this unholy sensation completely engulfed my entire body, I had no idea what to think, no clue what was even happening. I just instinctively yanked the covers over my face. Total fight or flight reflex, you know? Just trying to hide, to get away from whatever this feeling was. But right before I pulled the covers completely over my eyes, I looked over at my door, the one I just locked. I'd made sure it was sealed shut when I laid down. And I opened my eyes again and looked. It was open. Just a crack. And the shock, the absolute gut-punching terror of seeing that door slightly ajar, I felt it. I knew it. Someone was right outside, and they were there to take me. I didn't know where, didn't know who. I just had this profound, bone-deep certainty that I was about to be taken. From my bed, from my room, from this very earth against my will. And let me make this absolutely unequivocally clear. This was not a dream. Dreams happen when you're asleep. I was 100% wide awake. This wasn't a hallucination. Hallucinations happen when you're messed up on drugs or booze or even just a heavy dose of Benadryl. I was completely sober. No drugs, no alcohol, no nothing. This was out of nowhere. As I'm staring at that open door, this feeling that someone is there to take me just consumes me. I pull the cover tighter over my face, trying to block it out. But the shock, the raw, visceral fear of knowing someone is out there, coming for me, my heart just explodes, beating so rapidly, so fast. I swear I'm about to have a heart attack. I'm seeing spots, seeing stars all around the periphery of my vision. I'm scared, more scared than I have ever been in my entire life. And then, just as I'm drowning in that terror, the world shifts. The next thing I feel is I'm falling, suddenly, rapidly, backwards, like I'm on a roller coaster, you know? That moment when it goes up, 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 and then that sudden stomach-lurching plunge, that's what it was. You feel your organs jostling around in your body. Your heart, your lungs, your stomach, everything just shoots up and then slams down. That's exactly what this was. I was falling backwards and I could feel everything in my body accelerating with it. As I'm falling backwards, it feels like I'm breaking through different earths, different layers of existence, like I was sleeping on the very top of a 100-story building and I'm just plummeting, tearing through each floor. But these weren't floors, they were dimensions, realities. I was tearing through something, like reality itself was just paper shredding around me. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And all I could see was this blackness. Absolute void. Above me, where I'd come from, just this tiny, shrinking pinprick of light. You know that scene in The Ring where she's in the well and the only thing left is that distant, impossible sliver of sky? Yeah, it was worse. Because that light wasn't just shrinking, it was dying. And I was falling away from it, fast, like it was the last breath of hope I'd ever see. Then, no impact, no thud. Just I was there. Suddenly. 1 second, endless free fall. The next, my body was crumpled over, hunched over, face practically in the dirt. My limbs felt like wet noodles, drained, powerless, like I'd just run a marathon in a swamp of lead. My shoulders were practically touching my ears, my head bowed, staring at nothing but grime and rock.
But even before I registered the cold, damp ground, it hit me. The sound. You want to talk about screams? Forget every horror movie, forget every disaster video you've ever seen. Earthquakes, fires, whatever. Those are lullabies. What I heard then, it wasn't just people screaming. It was souls screaming. A symphony of raw, unending agony. A million individual torments, all harmonizing into one unbearable, soul-shredding shriek that vibrated in my teeth. It was the sound of pain, pure and uncut, stretched out to infinity. My eyes, still trying to focus through the haze of terror, finally lifted. I pushed myself up just enough to look right, and that's when I saw it. The lake. No, not a lake, a literal, churning, living sea of fire. And the faces, God, the faces, thousands of them, people in this fire, burning. Their skin, you guys, it wasn't just burning, it was melting, sliding off their bones like wax. Their eyeballs, I swear to God, their eyeballs were popping from the sheer, unimaginable heat, like grotesque little firecrackers. And some were trying to lift their hands, reaching, begging for something, anything. But their hands were just
dripping flesh. And the kicker, the absolute worst part, some of them were already burned to bone. Nothing left. And then right before my eyes, the flesh would regenerate just to burn all over again. Over and over and over. This wasn't some quick death. This was eternal torture. It was the most horrifying thing my eyes have ever witnessed. I'm telling you, it's branded into my soul. And the light, well, light isn't even the right word. The fire was bright, sure, it glowed with this sick infernal luminance, but it was weird. The light didn't travel. It just kind of died a few inches from its source. So you had these pockets of intense, searing brightness, surrounded by this suffocating, inky blackness, like the darkness itself was eating the light. And the walls of this place, I was in some kind of cavern, but these weren't normal rocks. Oh no, they looked like bleeding flesh, or wet, pulsating troll skin, if you can even imagine that. It had this slick, liquid sheen to it, reflecting the fire in a way that made it seem alive, like the cave itself was breathing, weeping molten pain. As all this was hitting me, as I was taking it all in, the screams, the fire, the smell, something else was happening inside me. A wave, a tsunami of pure, unadulterated despair, hopelessness, guilt so sharp it felt like physical pain. Resentment, too. Every single dark, soul-crushing emotion a human can feel, it was all hitting me at once. And the hopelessness, it wasn't just feeling sad. It was a bottomless black pit. Like, I could cry for 1,000,000 years and the tears would never stop. I felt a tear actually start, hot and stinging. Then my own scream tore from my throat, and I could feel it, echoing, not just in the cave, but through eons, like time itself was mocking me. And then finally, the truth hit me, slammed me like a freight train. I looked at the lake of fire, at the weeping walls, at my own trembling hands, and I thought, oh my God, this is hell. Jared, the atheist, the guy who scoffed at everything. I was in hell. How? Why? This wasn't supposed to be real. And that's when the guilt, the bitter, self-loathing resentment really started to take root. It wasn't just physical pain. It was the gut-wrenching realization, my life, gone. Everything I thought I had, everything I took for granted, just vaporized. On Earth, I was Jared, the guy who called the shots, the master of his own destiny. Here, I was nothing. Zero control. My free will, my autonomy, shattered. Every last shred of it ripped away. And this crushing sadness hit me, like a meteor. My parents, oh God, my parents. They'd wake up, find me, what, a shell? My body lying lifeless in my bed, and they'd never know. Never know where I'd gone, what I'd seen. I'd never tell them I loved them again. Never feel the sun, breathe a real breath. That feeling, that absolute soul-crushing certainty that everything precious was gone forever, irretrievable, man, that was the worst pain. Worse than anything I'd ever imagined. But just as I was drowning in that despair, literally giving up, ready to just cease, something shifted. The screams, the endless, torturous screams from the lake of fire, they changed. One by one, then in a chorus, then a deafening roar. The agony transformed into a name. Jesus. Jesus. It started as a whisper, then a desperate plea, then a shout, building to a frantic, collective roar. And then I saw it, or rather, I sensed it. A blinding, pure white light blazing from just over my right shoulder. I was so utterly depleted, so consumed by my own internal apocalypse, I couldn't even force my head to turn. My body, my mind were just gone. Every ounce of energy was focused on simply existing in that pit of despair. But I felt the light, and I heard them. The figures in the flames, their melting skin, their regenerating bodies, they were reaching. like starving hands clawing at air. Desperate. I could see it, just on the ragged edge of my vision. Their dripping stumps of arms, their ruined hands stretching, swiping, trying to grasp at something within that light. Trying to touch him. The light seemed to coalesce, taking on a form, a presence, though I couldn't make out specifics.
And those hands, those horrifying, desperate hands, they came so close, millimeters. They scraped against air, against nothing. They couldn't. They just couldn't. And in that moment, in their desperate cries, I knew what they knew. He was real. God was real. And Jesus, he was there. The one they'd scoffed at, ignored, or simply never believed in, just like me. They knew, finally. But for them, it was over. The game was done. Their earthly lives, their chances, those were their only tickets. Now, they were just echoes, trapped. And this place, it was designed for torture. In the very heart of that infernal lake, I saw them. Craggy obsidian pedestals jutting from the fiery waves. And people, or what was left of them, were trying to leap from one precarious platform to the next, clawing their way upwards. Because at the very top of this monstrous cavern, there it was. A shimmering, iridescent vortex, a literal portal to heaven. You could see it. It looked so close, so reachable, like you could just hopscotch your way up and through. An open door. But here's the kicker, the ultimate cruel joke. They couldn't. Not a single soul got within 100 feet. They'd jump and fall back into the flames, screaming. They'd try to climb, and their flesh would melt, regenerate, then melt again. It was the most brutal psychological torment you can imagine. You could see paradise. You could feel how close it was. But it was an impossible chasm, infinitely far. And the light, as this pure, impossible light started to draw closer, and then that light, that pure, impossible light, wasn't just closer. It was there, over my right shoulder. And the people in the flames, still screaming his name, were grasping, their melting limbs stretching, clawing, trying to touch him, just a millisecond of contact, but they couldn't. And then he was with me, right there in the dirt. He knelt down, right beside me. In that filth and despair, he dropped to his knees. And then he touched my shoulder. Listen, you need to understand this. 1 second, I was Jared the Atheist, utterly shattered, drowning in a pit of the most profound, soul-crushing sadness, guilt, and raw torment I had ever felt. Every particle of my being was screaming hopelessness. And the instant his hand rested on my shoulder, boom. It was like the universe flipped a switch. From the absolute lowest, most terrifying point of my existence, I was catapulted into pure, unadulterated euphoria, the happiest I have ever been, period. My heart didn't just beat, it exploded, but not in pain, in love. The most intense, most beautiful, most overwhelming feeling of love you could ever imagine. You know every kind of love you've ever felt on earth? The unwavering devotion of a mother, the fierce bond with a sibling, the burning passion for a partner, even that pure, unconditional affection from your favorite childhood pet? Take all of that, every single drop. Now imagine it condensed, refined, poured into a single blindingly brilliant drop, and then that single drop expands infinitely until it's bigger than the universe. That's what hit me. That's what coursed through my veins from the tips of my hair to the ends of my toes. My entire core, my very essence was filled with this ever-expanding, warm, beautiful, indescribable love. I had never felt anything like it, not even close. And it wasn't just a feeling. It was a revelation. It was like in that moment, my brain was instantly rewired, uploaded with pure, undeniable truth.
I knew, without him saying a single word, that this is where love came from. Every single flicker of love, every moment of satisfaction, every sense of fulfillment you feel on earth, it's because of him. He invented it. Without him, we wouldn't know what love even was. Think about it. You wake up in the morning, walk outside, take that first deep breath of cool air, feel the sun warm your skin, look up at the vast sky, and you just feel that, okay, I can do this today. That's him. You're parched, grab a glass of ice-cold water and feel that pure, crisp relief as it slides down your throat. That's him. You're freezing your butt off on a cold night, pull a blanket over yourself and feel that instant comforting warmth. It's only because he gave us the capacity to feel it. Every single good feeling, every spark of happiness, every deep satisfaction, it all originates from him. He invented love. He is love. He kept his hand on my right shoulder, sort of embracing me, a comforting presence. I could just glimpse him in my peripheral vision, to my left. He was crouched over me, and I could see the blur of his face. It was indistinct, like a shadow or a shimmering haze. I couldn't make out his features, and honestly, that would have freaked me out before. But now, my fear was gone, vanished. 1 second before Jesus came, I was a coiled spring of anxiety and terror, worried about absolutely everything. Now that he was near, I feared nothing. I felt nothing but complete and utter elation. I saw the white robe, the purple-violet sash around it, and in his left hand a staff. But his face? Just a blur. Yet despite not seeing his face, every fiber of my being resonated with a profound, instantaneous recognition. It was him.
It was like my mind, my very soul just unzipped. You know how when you get a software update and suddenly everything just clicks? This was that, but for existence itself. Every single lie, every single doubt I'd ever entertained, just poof, gone. And in its place, an overwhelming, undeniable truth. This presence beside me, this pure radiating love, this was him. Not a god, not a prophet. This was the source, the origin, my spiritual DNA finally recognizing its parent. It wasn't learning, it was remembering. Like my soul finally breathed a sigh of relief, realizing it was home. The connection was so profound, so absolute. It wasn't just a feeling, it was me. Every atom of my being vibrated with it. You know how some things just feel inherently right? Like a song you've never heard but instantly love, or a scent that transports you somewhere familiar. This was like that, but amplified 1,000,000 times. It was beyond familiarity. It was recognition. I think about being a kid, 10 or 11, home alone after school. My parents worked late, right? And when I'd hear footsteps on the porch, a distinct jingle of keys at the door, boom. Instantly, I knew if it was my mom's messy bunch or my dad's neatly clipped set. No need to see them, no need for words, just the sound. That's what this was. That pure, unmistakable knowing. This was the energy I'd always been searching for, even when I didn't know I was searching. This was home. And then, as he knelt there, a flood of understanding washed over me. Not through words, but pure thought, pure concept. And the first one, it hit me like a revelation. Shocked me to my core, actually. Because I was an atheist, right? Never cracked a Bible, never gave religion a second thought beyond a cynical eye roll. But here's what he showed me. He was incensed, deeply, profoundly disappointed with the church. Not my mom's little B-list saint worship, but the big, capital C church. He conveyed that he'd given them everything. The blueprint, the message, the entire damn playbook right there in the Gospels to spread his truth. And they blew it. They corrupted it. Turned it into a business, a money-making machine, a power structure, instead of what it was meant to be. Pure, unadulterated love and truth. And my first thought, the atheist in me, was like, wait, what? Jesus, aren't they your team? Aren't they doing your work? But the feeling from him was crystal clear. No, this is not what I intended. Trust me, if you think this is wild, buckle up, because this is where it gets really, really gnarly. And then he shifted. His staff, which I not only vaguely registered until now, lifted, and he pointed, not with an accusing finger, but with a gesture that spoke volumes. Pointed straight ahead, past the edge of the infernal lake, into a shadowy recess I hadn't even noticed. A cave within a cave, a deeper pocket of this unholy dimension. Remember how the light here was weird, barely traveling? Well, the instant he pointed, a shaft of pure ethereal light burst forth from the tip of his staff, cutting through the suffocating gloom like a laser. It formed a perfect tunnel, illuminating everything within it with stark, brutal clarity. And at the end of that piercing beam of light, a figure. A man. My stomach dropped because I knew him. Not personally, but from every TV screen, every newspaper during my childhood in the 90s, this was Archbishop Magnus, the one, the spiritual leader revered by millions. But he wasn't revered here. He was sitting on a throne, a grotesque throne of pure gleaming gold, studded with diamonds, surrounded by golden statues and overflowing chests of coins. A king's ransom, literally. And he was burning, shackled at the wrists to that gilded seat, flames licking at his flesh, his face contorted in an eternal scream. Agony. You could see the gold and diamonds reflecting the fire, a sickening sparkle in the hellish glow. It was a vision of pure, unimaginable horror. For a split second, that primal fear, that sheer horror of what I was seeing, tried to claw its way back. But then, his hand, still resting on my shoulder, gave the slightest, most gentle squeeze, and like a switch, the horror was gone. Just peace. Even looking at that unspeakable torment, all I felt was the warmth of his presence. That gut-wrenching dread, the sheer horror of what I was seeing, gone. Just like that, poof. But here's the wild thing. The experience itself, the raw visual, it stayed. It was like he hit the mute button on my emotions so I could actually learn. And the message hammered home. This is the church. This is what it became. How could anyone look at some earthly leader, some gilded institution, and think that represents him? When the real spirit, the pure message, has been drowned in gold and power? It's like he screamed, "They don't show me." Then it clicked. My own mom, bless her heart, always praying to Saint so-and-so, never directly to him. And Jesus' thought was clear. Anyone who diverts people from me, who makes them believe something else is greater, or that I'm not even necessary, that's not just a misstep, that's a betrayal. He hates that. And in that instant, a cold wave of realization washed over me. Oh my God, that's been me. My whole life is Jared, the atheist king. Anytime someone dared whisper Jesus or God, I'd pounce, mock them, call them fools, say they were brainwashed. The guilt hit like a physical blow. I am so sorry. I thought, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. And then the old fear, the primal terror of being stuck here forever. That immediate gut-churning dread came back for a split second. But just as quickly, it was gone. Again, he pulls the plug on the trauma, but leaves the lesson. It's like he's saying, feel it, get the message, now move on. Next lesson. I'm still staring at Archbishop Magnus burning on his gold throne, surrounded by stacks of treasure. It's a grotesque monument to earthly greed. Then he shifts the beam of light, and what it illuminates next? Dude, my mind is shattered. Another level of insanity. Right there, a little to the left of the Archbishop, I saw him. Maestro Groove. Yeah, that Maestro Groove. The king of pop, the moonwalker. He's there, unmistakable. Signature fedora, single diamond glove, doing the dance moves. But he's not performing. He's screaming, crying, and he can't stop. A crowd of grotesque, shadowy entities, demons, are forcing him to dance, endlessly, eternally. He's stuck in a perpetual, agonizing moonwalk. And this happened right after he died, like maybe a year or two before my own nightmare. It was a punch to the gut, an absolute mind-bending shock. And Jesus' thought piercing my soul. He's not the only one. I didn't see them, but he gave me the absolute chilling certainty that others were here too. Roots Mystic, Mariella Luna, all the icons, all the legends. And again, that surge of pure, unadulterated shock tried to overwhelm me. But just as quickly, he diffused it. He takes away the discomfort, but the memory, the terrifying truth, it stays etched into my very being. After all that, my eyes followed the light, past the Archbishop, past Maestro Groove, and there are just people. Regular people. Their arms, their wrists contorted, stuck in this horrifying, twisted, crucified position. And then I saw the wall. Not just a wall, but a canvas of pure, unspeakable torment. People crucified, not with nails, but with their wrists fused to that pulsating, weeping rock. And the demons? Oh God, the demons. These weren't cartoon monsters, guys. They were surgeons of agony, ripping, tearing, feasting on bellies, guts spilling out like twisted ribbons. And the screams? They just barely fade, just as the flesh would knit itself back together, only for the whole sickening ritual to start again, over and over, forever. My stomach churned. I couldn't take it. One part of me screamed, "Get out." My mind was a broken record. This is too much, Jared. Way too much. My gaze shot upwards. I needed out. And as I started to somehow impossibly ascend from that hellish pit, something else came into view. A swirling vortex of light. But not just one kind. Imagine pure, blinding white intertwined with aggressive, pulsating red. Not just colors, no. These were entities, locked in an eternal, brutal dance. A fight. And in that instant, I just knew. This wasn't some cosmic light show. This was the battle. The real battle. Happening. Right now. Everywhere. And get this. We, with our squishy human bodies, our limited little brains, our pathetic 2 eyes, we can't even see it. It's happening right under our noses, all around us. We're just blind. You know how our eyes, they're basically useless. Like seriously, think about all the light, all the frequencies, all the existence out there in the universe. Our dinky little eyeballs, they pick up what, 1%? Maybe? It's like trying to watch a movie through a keyhole. But when you're out of that body, when your soul is free, bro, you see everything, every spectrum, every dimension. It's like the universe just exploded into full color, hyper definition reality. And what I saw? A literal war. Angels, demons clashing constantly. They're not just out there somewhere. They're here. They're around you right now. Always. Think about that for a second. But here's the game changer, the absolute mic drop. If you pray, if you believe, if you've actually said, "Yes, Jesus, I'm with you," you're not alone in this fight. You have a literal army of angels just waiting, ready to roll. You call their name, they show up. It's like having divine special forces on speed dial. And this is where it got really heavy for me, guys, because I started thinking about all the people who don't believe, like the old me, and it hit me that they're out here in a spiritual war zone, completely naked, no armor, no weapons. When these supernatural entities, these demons come at them, they're just prey. So many people walk around feeling miserable, right? Like, why am I depressed? Why is there so much anxiety? Why does everything go wrong? Why do I feel like I'm constantly drowning? And they have no idea, zero clue. It's because they're being attacked and they have absolutely zero defense. No shield, no sword, nothing. And here's the fundamental truth that rocked my world. When we talk about Jesus, when we talk about God, when we talk about the Bible, we're not talking about some old book. We're talking about a supernatural entity.
He's not was alive. He is alive right now, this second, breathing, moving, existing in a dimension so far beyond ours, we can barely comprehend it. And from that dimension, his perspective, it's like, you know those ant farms, the flat ones where the ants are just living their little 2D lives? We, as 3D beings, we can flip that thing over, see every tunnel, every little ant. We see their entire history, their present, their future in that tiny box. That's how Jesus sees us. He's looking at you right now from his dimension, and he sees your entire timeline, your past, your present, your future, all of it, instantly, clearly. So yeah, he sees it all. Every single decision I'm making, even right now, telling you this. He saw every step of my messed up journey, every cynical smirk, every lie I told myself. And that's the question that haunted me for years. Why me? Seriously, out of billions of people, out of all the good Christians, the devout, the humble, why was I the one he came for? What was so special about me?
And then, just like that, I was back. Snap, back in my bed. But it wasn't a gentle return. My body, it was a wreck. Paralyzed, every muscle screaming. I felt like I had just clawed my way out of my own grave. Like I had died and then, by some cruel cosmic joke, been shoved back into this creaky, rusty meat suit. Tears were just gushing down my face. More tears than I've ever cried in my entire life. Ugly, guttural sobs. But I couldn't move. My limbs felt like lead weights. My body was there, but it wasn't mine yet. It was like trying to pilot a forgotten ancient machine. It was like I was submerged in a pool of thick, dark molasses. Every inch, every tiny movement was a battle. I strained, I pulled, I muscled my way, inch by excruciating inch, until I could finally sit up. Still shaking, still sobbing. And the first thing I did, I grabbed my phone. My fingers fumbled, but I managed to dial her number. My girlfriend at the time. She was the only person I could think of, the only one I knew who genuinely believed in Jesus, the only one who might even remotely understand what I had just been through. Now, remember, our relationship, it was already on life support, barely hanging on. And literally, just a day or two before this, I was with her at her youth group meeting, sitting there, smirking, cracking jokes, mocking everything they stood for, making fun of God, making fun of Jesus, making a complete mockery of the entire concept of faith. And now, here I was, calling her, barely coherent, trying to blurt out, "Oh my God, I just had this impossible experience with Jesus. He was real. I was in hell." I told her everything, every single detail, from the moment I fell, to the fire, to the demons, to him kneeling beside me, the love, the truth, everything, raw, unfiltered. And her first response, the very first words out of her mouth, "Why would Jesus come to you? You don't even believe in him." Just like that, a cold splash of reality. I remember stammering, I don't know why he came to me." And then the ultimate brush off, "Yeah, okay, all right, we'll talk later." Like I was telling her about a bad dream I had. Like it was nothing. Zero emotion, zero belief. Completely nonchalant, completely dismissive. She probably thought I was messing with her, trying to push her buttons, or that I had finally cracked under the pressure of our failing relationship. But I was dead serious, and she didn't believe me. Not a word. We broke up shortly after that, and honestly, that experience, that dismissal, it slammed the door shut on me, talking about it. For years, easily 10, maybe 15 years, I kept it locked away, buried it, because who could I possibly talk to? Who would believe me? I mean, come on, I went to hell, saw demons, and met Jesus. People would lock me up. I didn't want anyone to think I was insane. The shame, the insecurity, the fear of judgment, it was crippling. There's just this intense vulnerability that comes with an experience like this. And her reaction just solidified my terror of sharing it. My parents? Forget about it. They'd probably have sent me to therapy, bless their hearts. So I had nobody, literally nobody. And that first painful rejection from my girlfriend, it truly scared me silent. So yeah, for a decade and a half, this was my secret. Only her, initially. Then about 15 years in, I met my amazing wife. She was my girlfriend then, obviously, but now my wife. She was the next person I ever dared to tell. And the reason I even considered it, her mom was a deeply, deeply faithful woman. I knew there was at least some understanding of faith in her family. My wife, bless her heart, she didn't have the same hardcore foundation of faith as her mom, but she had enough of an open heart, enough understanding that I could finally pour it all out. And her reaction? Pure shock. Her jaw just dropped. "Oh my God," she kept saying. "Wow, wow, wow." And then after I finished, after she picked her jaw up off the floor, she looked at me with this intensity and she said, "Jared, this is incredible. This is a testimony. Would you ever tell this story on video to my audience?" And something just clicked. Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's definitely time. Because here's the thing, and this is important. I did not instantly become a perfect Jesus follower right after this happened. No, this experience, it didn't make me a believer overnight. What it did do, what it absolutely unequivocally did, was crack open the door. It made me hungry. It made me seek him. It pushed me to find him, to understand him. And that, my friends, is why I'm here right now telling you this. Because what happened next in my journey, what I discovered about seeking him, about what it really means to follow, that's a whole other level. If this has your attention, trust me, you haven't heard anything yet. Because the story of what happened after I came back, the real spiritual battle that followed, it's going to shake you even more. Jared's incredible experience affirms the profound reality of the spiritual realm and Jesus' boundless love. Even from hell's depths, Jesus transformed despair into pure euphoria, demonstrating his love is for everyone, regardless of past doubt. This powerful testimony urges us to seek a genuine, direct connection with him, the true source of all love and joy, rather than relying on flawed institutions. Embracing this relationship offers profound peace and spiritual protection. It's never too late to begin your own journey of seeking. Share your thoughts and don't forget to follow God's voice for you to discover more meaningful stories.